Well, hello and welcome, everyone. You have reached the Game Fight. It is the 20th episode of GameHuggers podcast. Woo! And we're going to do a game fight. And what is a game fight exactly, you might ask? Well, it's a crazy, awesome, hopefully really cool thing that pits two teams against each other in a bitter wage of battle. That's right, we're going to have random questions coming in. Some of them were requested on the Facebook page. Some of them were tweeted to me at _JoshuaTurbo. Don't forget the underscore, as it is the most important underscore in all of the internet. And some other questions were also just came up from the minds of the people that are in this episode themselves. So let me go ahead and introduce the teams. First, I'm going to introduce the team, the Strong O's. That's right, it's O. It's Bo and Ope. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hey, I'm here.
So you guys are the first team. That's Bo and Ope. You guys are the Strong O's, and the other team, Patrick and Richard. You guys are going to be known as Pins and Chips.
Pins and Chips. Fantastic.
I collect pinball games.
I write chiptunes.
There we go.
I like that. That was pretty witty. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, so why don't the Strong O's give us a quick little bit of an introduction to yourselves, and what are you guys playing, or what are you guys up to recently? Currently.
You first.
Who, me first? Yeah. I got a MSX Zemix Neo clone. I've been messing with that, and I got Dead Moon for Secret Santa. But pop that in on the turbos.
Pop that in and play some of that.
Get some of that moon action.
Nice. That's awesome. Bojack, so Iris?
Hi. How are you? So, I'm currently playing Destiny. I just finished double platinum on Bloodborne, and I'm spending a little bit of spare time on Rogue Legacy.
That's an awesome game.
Yeah, Bloodborne is amazing. Yeah. Looking forward to Dark Souls 3. Rogue Legacy is amazing too.
Yeah, that's actually what I was talking about.
Rogue Legacy? Is
Played the hell out of the game.
Is that a PS2 game?
It's a Steam game.
Oh, sure. I'm thinking of Rogue Galaxy, I think it was.
Yeah.
All right, Pins and Chips. Richard, are you there?
I am. I'm being informed by Ari that you may have some technical difficulties. Unless someone can confirm that they are able to view the stream, it would appear that the stream is not viewable.
Did she try refreshing the page?
Yeah.
Sometimes we have
refreshing, right?
Many times.
Yeah, many times. Saw her doing it.
Is live stream starting soon?
It says live stream is starting soon.
Interesting. You know, I've had that happen before. Someone else said that the stream wasn't available live, but it was. Huh. It might be behind by a little bit. I'm not sure. That's really weird. That sucks.
Yeah,
we're definitely on.
That would
we're
be a couple minutes.
That would really be lame.
Do we have another user that can verify that they can view the stream?
I just logged on and it's not. It says it's still a live event will begin in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's what she's saying too. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Delay, man.
It might be.
Might be a delay.
That's
a substantial delay.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, I agree. That sucks. If it's not working live, then I apologize, but it will definitely be available later.
Okay.
And Patrick.
Yo, what's up?
That was my intro.
That was your intro.
Dun, dun, dun.
What's up? New to me, I just actually picked up a Naomi Uni, another arcade cabinet today.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that makes 4 candy cabs and 6 pinball games.
That's insane.
I'm more into like retro gaming and console stuff and arcade games, and I've only just now last week I built an actual gaming computer. I haven't had like a gaming computer since my last gaming computer was like a Pentium, and then I got sucked into the Apple world for a little while, so I wasn't doing any gaming. But yeah.
Apple doesn't have games.
Not any good ones, or at least they didn't when I had them.
They have Dark Castle.
I love Dark Castle.
You can play Dark Castle on like any platform you want. I like to play it on the Genesis. It's the best.
What about the CDI?
CDI.
There was the CDI version.
Genesis is even worse.
Is there a possible worse? Is that
CDI has
possible?
better controls.
That's a sad statement.
Yeah.
All right, so let me explain the rules for our little game show tonight. We're going to be doing a game fight, and the rules are simple. It's survival of the fittest. No, I'm kidding. It's basically what we're going to do is go through a series of random questions that were submitted online on the GameHuggers Facebook page or on Twitter and a few other places, social network, anywhere on YouTube or whatever. I'm rambling now. Any questions that we have. So we have pulled 5 of the top questions from ones that were submitted to us, either by people that are in this competition today or people that were watching online. And we're going to shoot them out at you guys. We'll start with a coin flip, and we'll have the guest team, which I'm going to have is the Strong O's, call it in the air, and then if they get the coin flip, then they get to go first. They get to answer first, I should say. So when I ask a question, one team will answer, the other team will come up with another answer and argue it for whatever point it is. If both teams have the same answer, then it's a tie. If when the two teams do start an argument or start debating on a topic, I'm the judge. I'm going to moderate this, and I will judge who has the best argument for their answers. Now, there are times when I might simply agree with one other team, saying, "Yeah, that was the best Super Nintendo game of all time," or whatever, you know. But unfortunately, that's not what we're doing. We're not going by my opinion. We're going with who has the best argument. So, whichever team comes up with the best argument is going to be the victor. And that doesn't mean anybody's name's Victor, but we're going to also have it so that if a team is not able to come up with one single answer, they're going to have to figure out either which one they want to go with, or they're going to basically lose that question.
No.
So, are all you guys ready?
Go for it.
Yes.
All right.
Do it.
So I'll ask this first question after we do the coin flip, and I've got a coin right here. Am I?
Somewhere.
Where am I? Hello.
People cutting it out on video.
That was weird. Is my video not working now?
It's working now. Patrick's cut out too a second ago.
That was weird. Oh man, I hope this isn't gonna keep happening.
Man, fix your internets, man.
All kinds of fun right now.
Can you see me?
I'm connected via a wire, so I don't know how this could possibly be happening. Okay.
You checked your
Anyway.
TCP IP settings?
Yeah, right. Okay, so I've got the coin right here. You guys call it in the air. Who wants to call it, Strong O?
The other guy can.
Heads.
Okay, oh, ready?
Heads. I mean tails. Or... Dude,
It is
it's
tails.
Gex.
It's tails.
Dude, is that Gex?
That is Gex. That's amazing.
He got cue cards. He cheated.
Wow. How is he doing that?
He's green screening like a boss.
I'm so jealous.
I figured it out.
He don't have a lower third, but he got Gex. So who won the coin toss again? Gex.
That's amazing. Actually, it is going to be the pins and chips because it was the tails.
See that Gex just... It's like a lucky lamp.
That's
I'm
pretty
trying to
amazing.
intimidate you guys.
Yeah, that is very intimidating. Okay, so let's
Psychological tactics.
start the questions.
move.
So pins and chips, you're going to be able to answer the question first. You guys ready?
Go for it.
All right, it's a simple question. Question number 1, what is the best game of 2015?
What do you think, Patrick?
I'll let you answer this. I'm mostly a retro gamer.
This is the
House
worst
divided
question.
already.
This is the worst question for both of us because I honestly don't know if I played any games from 2015 extensively.
Now, I was looking at a list, and Grand Theft Auto 5 was ported to Steam in 2015. Does that count? Can I say that one? Because like it was actually released in like 2013, but the Steam versions.
Did you buy it?
I didn't, but I played it a lot. I just went over to my friend's house, and like we would just I like playing games like not how they should be, especially like the new ones. Like I would just walk around and like kill stuff and like hijack people's cars and like not even go on the missions, and I had a lot of fun with that game. Like the vast expansion of like you can travel anywhere and you can do anything, it really like blows my mind. Because I remember, I've been a DOS gamer. I started back, with like Metal and Lace 2, like old games.
Yeah, Megatech.
Yeah, some old DOS games. So like to be able to like have that expansive of a playing field is pretty amazing. So I'll go with that one.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5. A game I haven't actually played.
Ooh. So, I've heard some pretty good things about Grand Theft Auto 5. I've heard that it's a lot of fun, and my kids, my
Nice segue.
my 17-year-old really likes it. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So okay. Anything else?
So I thought we were going for best game.
Yep. Anything else you want to add to that before I let the other guys have a chance at it?
Are we we're sticking with Grand Theft Auto 5? That's all right.
Well, do you have any answer? Do you have any other games?
I guess I could argue for Mario Maker, solely on the basis that it's something that, in a sense, existed for a long time in like kind of lunar magic mods like that would let you mod Mario games unofficially, and Nintendo took that idea and turned it into a game. And honestly, I don't think there's any other game that's like that. It's a very unique concept, which is why I would say it's the best game of 2015. You don't really see a lot of games that are completely new.
Yeah, I like Mario Maker, but I do that Twitch streaming stuff, and it ruined every one of my retro streamers because they just jumped the boat because there's viewers there. So I hate Mario Maker. But
why don't we be on opposite teams?
Who are the teams? I'm on board with that.
I just gave you guys ammo, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Mario Maker is a better game, and it is 2015. You can go with Mario Maker if you want. Let's go Mario Maker.
Sure.
All right.
We'll do Mario Maker.
We're going with the money
Best
maker.
game, definitely Mario Maker. So good.
All right, Strong O's. What do you got for rebuttal?
Well, I'm mainly a console player. In fact, I'm exclusively a console player. This past year in 2015, there were a couple intellectual properties that were released that were just absolutely amazing. Rocket League being one of them. A completely new type of game, not entirely new, but it's soccer battles in little like mini cars. It was amazing, and Bloodborne is also another one of my top choices for the top games of 2015, mainly because From Software is, it seems like they can't do anything wrong when it comes to a game, and Bloodborne gives a little bit of the retro difficulty with the minimal storytelling and so on and so forth. For me, those are a couple of my choices.
Susan B. Anthony, what do you think?
That was pretty good. I got one game that changed my life this year. It was ported to the Android and the iOS platforms and probably Windows. It's called PewDiePie Legend of the Brofist. That game changed my life forever. I mean, I don't even understand how people purchase this and call themselves gamers, but it changed my life. It made me lose hope in the gaming industry, and I hope that this never happens again.
So you guys are going with PewDiePie?
No, it's actually, I'd say Shovel Knight was ported to a bunch of stuff this year, and that's like one of my favorite games ever. That's modern, and you know, I'm sure Bo's played that one. You played Shovel Knight?
Yeah, I played Shovel Knight. It's like a traditional 2D, ground stab with a shovel.
Yeah, you can say like a Mega Man type clone.
Yeah.
A little bit
Also
of Castlevania, a little bit of DuckTales.
Yeah, man.
Was it 2015?
Well, it was ported.
You could call it Metroidvania if you wanted to, Josh.
So you could say it's a Metroidvania.
I wouldn't call it Metroidvania because you're a real fuckhead if you call it a Metroidvania.
Oh, is that what? You're not allowed to say that.
I just hate that term. That's
What
all.
if I call it a Castletroid?
Castle.
There you go,
Royale.
Castle Troy.
Who hates Metroidvania?
I
Here we
do.
go. Here we go.
Josh?
Hey.
Don't pander to the judge now.
Interesting.
I just,
Is there a way that we can set up that whoever's talking, it automatically switches to? I'm having to click on people.
Mindset.
It should do that. Well, the interesting thing about it is it will do that on the actual broadcast, so it does it for me.
Yeah.
But for everybody else, I think it just shows you unless you click on other people. So it's unfortunate that it does that, but
For me, it's
Try-
switching.
Yeah,
Try-
I don't have anybody highlighted and it's jumping.
yeah, try just clicking off of whoever you were clicking on and just leaving it off, and it should jump. I think. I hope it will.
I saw
So-
that.
Yeah, right now I'm stuck on at Bo.
He's
Yeah, well,
talking.
You
I've got
want
a
to
pretty
be.
face, so
You want to be.
It's like
Boom.
flipping back and forth for me.
All right,
Really
so
rapidly.
Yeah, dude.
Bo and Ope, come up with one answer. I got a couple. I got that Rocket League and Shovel Knight are the ones that I wrote down.
I didn't play Rocket League. It sounds pretty cool from what you're explaining.
it is, and it's got a highly competitive following and a nice casual following too. It was a big stream hit for quite a bit of 2015.
I don't know, man. You want to go with Shovel Knight? You want to go with Rocket Jump? Team Rocket, Rocket Coaster.
Jump a shoot, man. Let's go Shovel Knight. That was pretty good too.
There we go, man. That's a team right there. Teamwork.
All right, so Mario Maker and Shovel Knight. I gotta tell you,
Fight of the century.
I need more arguments because I can't decide on either one of you guys.
So we need to stop
Try-
talking about how Mario Maker sucks. Is that how we need
Yeah.
to do it?
Yeah.
Well,
Try
I'll
back.
tell you about how Shovel Knight sucks.
There we go.
Well, Mario Maker was what Mario Paint to a degree, where you can make your own stages and post them online. There's really nothing new about it besides you were the director. Shovel Knight was actually like a whole new game, a whole new
There you
IP that brought stuff in for people to play. And it spread it across a lot of platforms too, because it was on PSN last year.
Drop
Was it
the
on the
mic.
Xbox
Just drop the mic.
Marketplace?
Got it.
Dude,
Boom. Argument over. No innovation.
My problem
Sorry,
with
boys.
Shovel Knight doesn't have any innovation. It's just a
Listen to the soundtrack, dude. The soundtrack is amazing.
the soundtrack's
The
freaking
soundtrack
amazing.
is Vert.
Boom.
Yeah.
So Vert
Jake
is an
Kaufman.
excellent musician. Actually, a good friend of mine as well. It's great music. I wouldn't call it innovative.
I thought it was
because-
Kaufman.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah, Vert.
Jake
Okay.
Kaufman. Bird, same guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's Fama Tracker. It's
Come on, man. Changed my life.
it's
Change
good
your
music, but I don't see the innovation in it. Like, what's
What's the innovation in Mario Maker again? I can make
the
levels.
innovation in Mario Maker is it's the first game to really emphasize level creation.
yeah, but
as-
Mario Maker wasn't started on a Kickstarter and then brought to life through Kickstarter. Through
What does
some small
Kickstarter
guy's
have
idea.
with it being a good game. Just because it's funded a certain way doesn't mean it's a good game.
People have been making hacks for Mario without Mario Maker, so what's the deal?
You
Oh,
can
yeah, I didn't have to
share
pay
your
for those.
levels through a code.
I've got the internet. I can share anything.
Would
See,
you
the
like
problem
my
with that
friend
is-
code so we can visit each other in Animal Crossing?
The problem with that is you could create levels for Mario games without Mario Maker, but it was way harder. Like, Nintendo took that idea and they turned it into something that little kids can digest. And so you have this thing where
There's no quality control and there's a lot of garbage.
no quality control. Because if there's anything we can say about Nintendo, it's that they don't have quality control.
The seal of approval doesn't mean as much as it used to, that's for sure.
I'm just going to say, Shovel Knight, good game. Don't really see how it's drastically different from anything that we've seen before. So, like he was saying, it's a Metroidvania. It's a Castleroid game. It's got
Oh,
music
that
over it.
word, the judge hates that word, we win by default.
So, I mean, it's, I love that genre. It's my favorite genre,
There's
but
there's so much there's so much
It was a-
replayability in that game.
didn't it not even come out in 2015?
It came out in 2014. It was ported in 2015.
It was ported in 20.
Right.
Mario Maker, come on. Mario came out in what 85. We're gonna
It's a different game, at least.
All right.
they added stuff to it in
I think
2015.
I think I've heard enough. I'm going to judge. You ready?
That was
Judge
more
Dredd.
bickering and less arguing.
No, I liked it. The winners of round one is Shovel Knight.
Oh.
I'm
because
sorry, but it's just
Dude, give your reason.
I'll give you a reason. Shovel Knight is a callback to an absolute amazing time in gaming. It asks you to be precise in everything. All of your control, everything has to be like exact. Some of the gameplay and some of the challenges in the game are just so inventive and so well done that it's more than just a hack of an old NES game or Super NES game or a 32-bit game. Mario Maker is amazing. I mean, this is like an A+ and an A+ game against each other in my opinion. But I can see a little bit where someone could say Mario Maker is just Nintendo cashing in on people hacking their Mario games and releasing like what are these called when they make a hack of an NES card or a Super NES card and they sell them as like the pirated games or ROM hacks and stuff like that. It gives everybody the chance to make these ROM hacks of Mario games, and while that's really really cool, it isn't quite as cool as Shovel Knight. So points go to Shovel Knight.
Boom.
All right, so question number 2. This one will start with Bo and Ope because they did not get to go first last time. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
Do it.
What would you guys consider the most influential console game of the 90s?
Man, that is
That's a tough one.
tough. I had a couple that jumped to my mind right away, mainly because I'm gonna leave Dreamcast out of it for a minute, just because
Because it's 99.
for the argument. Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time were two of the most iconic Mario and Zelda games created, because in the 90s, when Nintendo 64 launched, you had full 360-degree movement. You had full open world to explore in your favorite worlds. And that alone allowed people to do so much more and immerse themselves so much more into their games than what they had been doing before. Also, I think FPS has made a huge leap in the 90s with that same technology, that sort of open world where 3D was just so much more prominent. Granted, FPS has had that before, but it was a lot more prominent in the 90s, and it grew by leaps and bounds to provide a more immersive world for people to play in.
All right, so you're going N64 route.
Yeah.
Ope, do you want to contribute to your team?
It's gonna be hard for me to back up, man.
I know.
I was gonna say something like, I'm a PC gamer, so something like Doom or
Well, that's
Unreal.
yeah. Yeah, Doom, Unreal, and Half-Life were all part of the FPS genres where those graphics just, and people are still waiting for Half-Life 3 to this day. So if that's not influence started in a 90s game, I have no idea what influence is then.
That's right.
But again, that's that whole immersive world where there wasn't particularly stages, but just a world that you explored and went out and did stuff in.
Yeah, it wasn't linear. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to see the console because Doom was mostly a PC game.
That's true. It was on the console.
The ports were horrible.
It was horrible on every console.
Not 32X, right?
No,
Hey, the Jaguar.
32X had like a little window like this big.
It was
Jaguar.
Jaguar has no music.
You only play Doom on PC. That's the only way to play Doom.
Yeah, keyboard and mouse.
Doom on the Jag is pretty good.
Jaguar.
It has no music though.
It doesn't need music.
Who needs
Where's
music?
that sick MIDI soundtrack? Where's my FM metal?
Half-Life originated on what was it, Windows, but it was on PlayStation and things too, correct? And was it still a horrible?
Dreamcast. It was on Dreamcast, I know.
It never released on Dreamcast.
Half-Life? Yeah, I don't think it was released on Dreamcast.
No, that was a hack.
PS1.
It wasn't a hack. It just never actually came out.
I think PS2 is the only console that had Half-Life, at least the original Half-Life.
That's past the 90s, so I guess I can't say that. I don't
But-
know, man.
But I mean, I would agree with the other guy on my team on either Quake, Unreal, or Half-Life. And since Half-Life has a huge influential following, because we're still waiting for Half-Life 3, and it was on PlayStation 2, there you go.
But is it considered
All right.
90s, I guess?
But you got to come up with one answer, guys.
I don't know, man. I'll try to back you up on Mario. How about that? I know a bit of Mario, so.
All right, all right.
I'll back you up on that. I don't
Alright,
have a
Mario
solid
64.
90s console ace up my sleeve.
The
Which
straw
Mario?
man- This Mario 64.
64
apparently.
is what he said.
Yeah, we'll go with Super Mario 64.
They're going with a Nintendo 64 game.
Nintendo 64!
Pins and chips. Do you think you can come up with something better?
Better than a 64 game? Yeah.
I do. I have a pretty strong one for this. Do you want to go first, or?
Well, let's hear your strong one.
I would say Street Fighter 2.
Oh,
My console?
For the Super Nintendo?
Oh yeah, it came out
Influential?
on everything.
Interesting.
Well,
It's-
we have to pick a specific one.
All
Yeah,
of
you want
them.
Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Ultra cock blocking.
You gotta go with the original because it's
Fighting
the one that
Street
started it.
Fighter
I
2
mean,
Beta.
so the reason why I would pick Street Fighter 2, and this is coming from someone that I don't care about fighting games at all, but anyway, Street Fighter 2 kind of took this, like, arcades were not in a very good place, or at least not in as good of a place as they were in, like, you know, the early 80s or whatever. Street Fighter 2 brought that all back. It invented a genre that, by and large, is the same as it was in Street Fighter 2. So, for example, 3D platformers, yeah, Mario, you know, obviously very influential, obviously set the framework for how 3D platformers should play. But every other 3D platformer does not play like Mario 64. Even ones that came out really close to when 64 came out, like Banjo-Kazooie, much more emphasis on collecting, much less emphasis on acrobatics, which is really what Mario 64 was about.
Right, but we're not
whereas-
talking about clones. We're talking about games that gave influence to a whole
Console.
other
Yeah.
genre
Fine.
world.
And what I'm saying is Street Fighter 2 had that influence because it invented fighting games, which by and large are still the same as they were.
But it was the arcade platform that did that, not the console ports.
Yeah, Street Fighters and
Well,
fighting games were always a
but
quarter muncher in
the
the
cons-
downtown hall.
The console port was huge. The console port was like, I remember pre-ordering it. You got a special controller, and it was something like $89.99. Like, it was really expensive. And I remember counting the day. I think I even had my calendar where I had the days left to Street Fighter 2 came out for the console, for the Super Nintendo specifically.
That's another good point, actually, that I didn't think of. Street Fighter 2 kind of set the bar for arcade ports, because arcade ports before that would be kind of close, but Street Fighter 2, on a lot of systems, it was perfect.
yeah. And when you're talking about like most influential game, this Super Mario 64, if it was so influential, how come there wasn't any sequels on the N64?
Ooh!
Well, that's
You got
because
the
you
mod
had
disagreeing with
Zelda,
you.
Ocarina of Time, you have Majora's Mask, you had all these other open world games that took what Mario did great and then
Mischief
added their
makers,
own
man.
things
Mischief
to it.
makers.
Mischief Maker.
I mean, but that's such a vague...
Mischief Makers doesn't count. It doesn't matter if it's a good treasure game or not. It doesn't.
The idea of Mario 64 being influential because it had a world that you could explore is such a vague concept to me. Like, there are other 3D games that let you do that before Mario 64, and I think it's just kind of a given. Like, I don't think there's anything really special about that. What? Oh, he's got it.
You gotta talk, we can't see it.
Boom.
There you go.
But yeah,
Got the rental version.
I think that movement in 3D space, that exploring 3D environments, is just sort of a given. There's nothing really particularly special.
Taking it for
about
granted
Mario
is what it
64.
sounds like.
Yeah, I don't think it was given. It was,
Well,
one of the
before-
first, it was one of the first that did it and did it well.
Before we
Yeah.
debate it, Rich, should we hear mine? I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yours a lot.
yeah, what do you got? Yeah.
Bring it.
Oh, you have an answer? Oh, I'm sorry.
Mine was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh,
First one. See, now that is a 90s console game.
It started.
that's
It
very
started
influential.
the console wars, and it showed you that Nintendo wasn't the only company out there.
Just the only
Terms-
one that mattered.
It started kids that picking up on terms like blast processing, and it
Blast
also
processing.
opened up to like no lag, complete speed. Like it was mind blowing. It made kids like Sega kids and Nintendo kids.
How many companies had furry mascots after Sonic?
Everybody.
Not Nintendo.
Like
What
Mario.
was Nintendo's furry mascot? I
Conker.
forgot.
They didn't need one. They already had.
Donkey Kong.
Mario wasn't cool. He was this stupid plumber. Like, I don't really like that. But Sonic was like the
edgy.
essence of cool.
No, Yoshi was
Wait.
cool.
Are we really doing Mario versus Sonic?
What about
Or
Zonk?
Bowser was cool.
Zonk was cooler than Sonic.
Zonk was cooler than Sonic, but
I like
Oh.
Vector Man more than Sonic, man. Vector Man.
I like Balls 3D better than all of them.
I like Uniracers better than all that shit.
Uniracers are the shit.
That's what I'm talking about. I got two people on my
Race
side.
FX.
Race. Without the chip.
how was Star Fox?
He's a furry, right?
All right. So what's your answer, Pins and Chips?
Josh, I think you just had penetration on your screen behind you. What are you watching?
That's World
That's not a
Heroes
green
2.
screen, though.
Rich, what's our answer?
I could go either way, to be honest with you. What do you think is a better contender?
They're both really good. You want to flip a coin?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. This is okay. This is
Shit's rigged.
Sonic, and X is Street Fighter. You ready? We're going with Sonic.
Show the camera.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 versus
Sonic.
Super Mario 64.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Street Fighter might have been a really good. Might have been a really good one though because of the console. Because
No,
of the console arcade.
you guys pick
We-
Sonic. Let's go.
We
All
already
right.
went with that. Shit. It's too late now.
All right. So let's hear some more about Mario 64 because N64 is a tough sell for me.
So, okay, N64 might be a tough sell because, most everything on N64 sucked. But we're talking about games that influence things, not the quality of those games, but what did that game influence in the future? What 90s game influenced further game development and influenced more original IPs to come through and use it as sort of a baseline for what they were going to use? Okay, so if we fast forward to these years, or to right now, and the last Expos and E3, what is the big thing on everybody's mind? Every console developer right now is working towards what? They're working towards VR, right? VR is just another way to immerse yourself in a 3D world, to become actually in the game, be a part of the game.
Like
And
Oculus
none of
Rift
that-
and shit like that.
Yes, absolutely, and PlayStation VR.
Google Glass.
Yeah.
Cardboard.
So, and I don't think, that would have come about, but I don't think it would have come about in the same way if Nintendo had not brought in Super Mario 64 with this full, rich, open 3D world for us to explore. Because I remember people doing everything they possibly could in these worlds. Sequence breaking wasn't a thing, or was a thing before this, but having a wide open world and just figuring out what you could and couldn't do, most people spend that much time just doing that. A lot of time just doing that instead of playing the actual game itself. People's minds exploded with things that they could and they couldn't do.
I'm not
And then-
gonna say that you're wrong about a lot of people. Their first exposure to real 3D gaming was Mario 64. Mostly because they're casuals and they've never played video games outside of Nintendo at that age, whatever. By the time Mario 64 came out, I was already immersed in 3D worlds with X-Wing, with Alpha. God, what is that game called? Continuum? I don't
Alpha
remember what it's
Centauri?
called. With Mercenary of Targ.
Excellent.
Well, what console was that on?
It doesn't matter. It wasn't on a console.
Well, that's the
sure
argument,
it
isn't
does.
it?
Oh, sure
90s
it does.
console influential.
Computer game development and
That's why I
PC
took
game
that
development
Google.
has been on a very different path than console game development for many years. There's a
Okay, fair
large
enough. I'll give
line
you-
that.
I'll give you that, but I'll tell you why Sonic was more influential.
Here we go.
Yeah, I really want to hear this.
On to you, Patrick.
Pass the buck.
You're gonna throw it to me?
He left you hanging, bro.
Dude, Sonic was so freaking fast. Like, it really showed you what a console could do. It stopped the whole debate of PC versus console because, like, it showed off You know, it got furries into like popular culture, which is cool.
Dude, furries are a thing now. Thanks, Sonic.
There, it's influence. Did we say it had to be good influence? It's influence.
Apparently. Hey, no
Thank
news
you,
is
guy.
good news, right?
But I still think, like, the thing is, 2D platformers were so samey for such a long time when the original Mario came out, until Sonic came out. And Sonic really changed the development of the way that 2D platformers play, which to this day, 2D platformers are very similar, like, oftentimes way more similar to Sonic-style games than they are to the original Mario-style games.
I would disagree. Shovel Knight,
Even Mario.
Legacy, and most of the 8-bit games that are released nowadays, like even Mega Man's 9 and 10, and like I said, Shovel Knight and those other like 8 to 16 to 32-bit like games that are released nowadays, I'd say they follow a much more of a paced Mario type game and feel. Instead of a Sonic where, hey, I'm gonna hold right and just look away for 30 seconds and be done with the level.
That's a common misconception about Sonic.
processing.
I might have to jump. I'm sorry.
No, Sonic is a regular platformer. It just happens to have slopes, and it happens to have parts where you run really fast through them. But aside from that, it just
Like
honestly
level?
plays the same as like any other platformer, really.
And it's got blast processing.
It's got pretty badass
Sonic
music,
Advance 2 was the first one where it really came down to hold right to win or fall off a cliff if you don't know what's coming.
What's
But
the game?
all the ones before that, yeah, they were 2D platformers.
I might have agreed with you if you were like Sonic Adventure Battle for Dreamcast. Might have. Or oh god.
What about Sonic R? Sonic R was my favorite. Hold up to win. Boom.
All right,
Innovation.
All right. Okay. So, in the battle of Sonic versus Mario, and we're just discussing the most influential console game of the 90s.
Scratching the surface here.
Mario 64 versus Sonic 1 on the Genesis. I'm going to go with Mario 64.
What?
No! That's 2! Let's go!
That's now. Here's
That's
the
even
thing.
blasphemous for you, Josh.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I know, right? Here's the thing. Street Fighter 2 is more influential than both of them. So.
But it's not a 90. The influence was the arcade scene. I mean, I know
The arcade.
I'm not saying they were
scene,
bad
too.
ports.
The
They were
arcade.
bad ports, they were good, but
Sorry,
I mean,
Rich.
you already grabbed the fans from the arcade, bought the ports.
It absolutely invented the fighting game genre. It completely brought the arcades back to the forefront of everything. But when that got ported to the Super Nintendo in 1992, it outsold the Genesis 2-1. I mean, it was so huge when that came out in
Genesis
Japan.
didn't get it till Champion Edition.
In Japan, when it came out on the PC Engine, that brought the PC Engine back. When it came out finally for the when it came out for the Turbo Graphics, I mean not the Turbo, but the Genesis in the US, when they got Super Championship Edition, and then they finally came out with Super Street Fighter 2. I mean, it was just like every single time a Street Fighter 2 game came out, it was a major event, and it's like you guys were talking about, all the fighting games. You can go through all the lists. It's like BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, King of Fighters. I mean, they're still going in that same style. Like
They play basically the same as Street Fighter 2.
yeah, Street Fighter 2.
Mario 64 was my answer, honestly. If I had gotten to go first, that it just seems like a given to me.
You should have fought for it, man.
You did go first.
You let
All
me
right.
flip. I
So-
flipped the thumb drive to decide.
Street Fighter jumped the
A
shark.
little
Just
bit more
admit it.
insight. I have a little bit more insight to why Street Fighter 2 might have been considered most influential. I don't know about you guys, but I wasted so many quarters at a muncher at the arcade. I mean, my parents would have been just smart to go and buy this arcade game on the console and
Right.
save money in the long run just to play it locally. I mean, I think that's not necessarily influential, but it's definitely a smart decision for a lot of people. And could have drove a lot of sales for a quarter muncher game to be bought and have it there in front of you at home all the time on a console. I mean, that could be contributing to its success.
Okay, so now we're gonna go back to Bone O, Strong O's. It's your opportunity to answer first. It's going to be the next question. Which game deserves a modern remake?
Oh,
Anything you can think of.
oh.
Wonder Momo.
That's a pretty good answer. I'd pay to play that again. in HD.
Wonder Momo just got a remake. Not a remake, but a new game.
You got it?
Of course.
So,
That'd be
did
fair,
anybody see? I'm from like the console era. Like I've been consoles all my life. I've played Segas. I've played TurboGrafx, something other, whatever.
Whatever.
And
Sure you have.
Whatever.
but so some of the classic games, and I don't think you guys will really disagree with these, but like if Earthbound had a remake, like a modern day remake, I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. Same with like Battletoads and Metroid 2: Return of Samus.
Man,
I mean,
what the hell?
so I mean, you can pick one of those, or if you have a different one to add to the list. But I mean, those are my top three, and I just think if those games had a remake, dude, the internet and the world would just be up in arms. It would be the greatest thing. It would be the new game of the year. Like it could come out December 31st. It would be game of the year for that year.
I'm thinking more like Minecraft needs a remake by now. I haven't seen enough of it.
Yeah, they can at least get it up to like 16-bit.
Yeah. It's like a, what's a 4-bit game, right?
I think it's 4-bit. So you've got, which one are you picking here?
So we've got, what do we got? We've got Battletoads.
That would be awesome.
We've got
Earthbound.
Earthbound for the SNES. And what was the other one?
Metroid 2: Return of Samus
Metroid
for
2. That was a good
Game
one,
Boy.
too. I'd probably pick Metroid 2 because that's the one game that I love the Game Boy version. There's not really a proper color version, and if you would bring it in the Super Metroid world or something like that, it would be pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Plus, there's a lot of fan outcry and fan makes of or hacks of like Metroid 2 to try and bring it into current gen as well. I mean,
I'll go Metroid 2 with this one.
All right, yeah, I'll rock that with you. Metroid 2, let's go.
All right, Pins and Chips.
So I gotta say, this of all the freaking games to pick.
Opportunity.
Games that aren't Metroid 2 that should be remade.
How about
What do you got, Patrick?
the Justin Bailey hack?
Was yours
Yeah,
Metroid
Justin
2?
Bailey. There we
Mine
go.
was Metroid 2.
Oh, shoot.
Shoot.
That's this category's all you, man. All I have is
The
jokes.
buck has been passed yet again.
We can do Pia Carrot if you want. That could make a nice remake.
Wow.
Or
He is Adora.
maybe Wonder Momo is good too.
What about Mega Man 1? You guys can take that.
Well, they've
They
done.
already did that, yeah. Powered Up. That
They
was,
did a couple. Didn't they do one of them? They did Mega Man for the Wii U or for the Virtual Console.
Mighty number 9.
Yeah, that was
that's
9
coming
and
out.
10. 9 and 10 were... 9 was great, 10 was a little...
Yeah.
I can tell you why
Mega Man
Metroid 2 would
wise,
make a terrible remake.
Well, first you gotta have something on your side before you can argue, man. Come on, man.
You didn't have one in.
Come
you
on.
didn't have one
Mario
set?
Paint.
You didn't have any of
Nothing in
them, Patrick?
reserve.
Come on.
Well, he said
Nothing in
Pia
reserve.
Carrot.
We're gonna
We
eat
can
on here.
we
I'm
can go
not-
Pia Carrot.
No, I'm not doing Pia Carrot.
Okay.
Oh.
Zombies ate my neighbors.
There we go. What about
that's a good one.
Ghost Manor?
Ghost Manor's fucking
Is it
horrible.
Zombies in my neighbors? That would be
Oh, what about Link to the Past?
You know, cash in on the zombie thing.
Yeah, man. Do like
Oh, I got another one. Oh, I got another one, but I'll wait till all these answers are over.
Time Killers.
time.
What about
There's not
Streets
enough
of Rage?
buttons. Streets of Rage, yeah. What about Streets of Rage? It makes me rage.
We're gonna get an answer from Ope.
I don't know. I don't think they do Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage is actually pretty good.
Yeah, but they don't really do beat 'em ups very well anymore.
Streets of Rage.
Like it'd be a long shot for them to remake that game and do it well. I don't think they would.
Yeah,
do it
the double Dragon remake I didn't really like. It was kind of a remake, kind of a new game.
Double Dragon Neo? That game's awesome.
It's alright.
Scott Pilgrim game. Come on, Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim's
Awesome.
really good too.
Again,
that was
there's
really
gonna
good.
there's gonna be one-offs here and there, but I mean,
Rich, what do you want?
I literally have no ideas. That was my answer.
Damn it.
And they
Was
stole
it really? Oh,
Okay, I got an
yes.
answer. I got an answer.
Thanks,
R-Type
Chris.
needs to come back.
R-Type.
Ooh,
R-Type. Let's do it.
R-Type and not Gradius? What?
Dude, R-Type is way better than Gradius.
Gradius is already.
Boy, we gonna
Here
have
we go.
words on-
Gradius
Here we
has
go.
gone up to number
R-Type
5.
is way better than Gradius.
R-Type has been.
Rich, you want Gradius?
What's that?
You want to do Gradius, or do you want to do another shmup?
I want you guys to do McKids.
What about Castlevania? That actually might happen.
Uh-oh, on the Neo Geo.
I'm just looking at my games, trying to.
What about,
Look at the stack, see what there is.
Altered Beast needs to come back.
Man, they already did that though with the PS2.
what about
No, I
Super
think-
Game Boy?
I like the
Gimmick.
argument of R-Type.
Gimmick needs to come back.
R-Type.
Gimmick 2, don't buy it.
Oh God. It's the worst.
Let's do
Yeah, let's do
R-Type.
Rich. Let's do R-Type.
R-Type.
All right, I like it.
Okay.
Let me hear your arguments. Now I got to tell you, after hearing all that, Metroid 2 is my least favorite Metroid game. Now that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything to me personally, obviously.
You said
but I wanna
enough
hear-
already.
I want to hear an argument.
For Metroid 2?
From
Yeah,
us
both
or
these
from them?
games.
From who?
So Metroid 2 has probably one of the largest fan followings of people that try and remake the game on their own. Right? And like my partner here said, it doesn't have a proper remake. It doesn't have a proper color scheme for like Super Game Boy or Game Boy Color at all. And that was a pretty immersive game. It did a lot of stuff for a Game Boy game, right?
It kind of paved the way for Super Metroid.
It did.
Wasn't there a problem with Metroid 2? Like, well, not a problem, but the control scheme was messed up. You couldn't jump and shoot, or you couldn't diagonally jump, or something weird like that you could do in the previous game.
You couldn't diagonal jump in Metroid. You could jump
I
and shoot
actually-
in Metroid 2. You could shoot
I
up in
actually-
Metroid 2.
You
Actually,
can't shoot diagonally, but I don't think you can't do that in the first one either.
Yeah, there's one Metroid for the Game Boy. I know there's like people complaining about the controls. I just wasn't sure if it was Metroid 2.
I think that's the only one on Game Boy.
Is it?
Well, I mean,
Probably
you have Game Boy
Advance
Advance
one.
and
I think
SP
people
and all that
complained
kind of
about
stuff.
I think
You're
people
talking
were
about
complaining
Zero
about.
Mission or something like that.
Yeah, they said that the controls in Fusion and Zero Mission were too heavy, like compared to how light and floaty Samus is in the previous games.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Now,
DBS.
I'll tell you why. Metroid 2 would actually make a terrible
Here we go.
remake.
Oh,
Here we
boy.
go.
That's because Nintendo does not have a track record for making games like that anymore. So when Nintendo remade the original Metroid with Zero Mission, they made a very interesting remake, but it is not the original Metroid at all. And they would probably do the same thing with Metroid 2. So you would get an entirely different game that is only superficially related to Metroid 2, and that would probably hold your hand the whole way through it, tell you exactly where to go to kill the next Metroid, without leaving you to your own devices for more than 2 seconds at a time.
But as rebuttal, we're not talking about the producer or the publisher. We're talking about the intellectual property that deserves a remake.
Hey man, they should just make Metroid Maker.
Because we're talking about official remakes, aren't we?
Well, which game-
The question is, what game deserves a modern remake a la Final Fantasy VII?
So
Which
it's
would be a
the
terrible
official.
remake.
Is the
But
official?
you can create theories on like, oh, Nintendo will do it like this because they have a bad track record or whatever. You can always convince someone why they should or shouldn't do that, because I mean, Metroid is kind of this touchy subject right now where Nintendo has basically just left it alone for so long that it's like whatever they come up with next has to be something amazing.
Dude, Prime, man. Prime was good.
What kind of modern remake would it be? Would it be on like the next game console, or would it be a handheld?
I can envision a Metroid 2 remake being like Shovel Knight or like Rogue Legacy.
The only way that it would be done true to the original game is if it was a fan remake, which a fan remake would never happen because Nintendo has consistently indeed every single fan game that people have tried to make.
There are fan remakes out there, yeah?
There might be.
There was one.
Probably more like ROM hacks you get more of, but anything that Nintendo catches wind of, they C&D that right away. And
All right, let me hear an argument for R-Type.
so, or Patrick, do you want to start it off?
You sound like you had something. Go for it, Rich.
Shoot 'em ups have become very slightly different now compared to like how they were when R-Type was like originally a thing. And it's not really for better or for worse, but just kind of a stylistic change. So nowadays it's a lot more common to see like bullet hells, whereas back then hardware couldn't even handle more than 5 bullets on the screen without slowing down, right? So R-Type would probably benefit from being able to explore that kind of newness in the shmup genre. Never mind the fact that we haven't seen a new R-Type game at all since, what, the PS2?
Yeah.
So it would be bringing back a very old franchise that a lot of people like a lot, and doing some new interesting things with it.
Okay. Patrick, do you have anything to add?
I just remember that R-Type might have had a remake.
Yeah, it was called
really?
Polestar.
No, I think
Oh.
I thought it had one where you could it was flat, but then you could zoom out and be 3-dimensional. Am I
You
thinking
talking
of?
about the strategy one?
No, he's talking about the one that was on Xbox Live and the PS Network, where
really?
it was
Oh, there was one, huh? Yeah, I remember that.
it was you could switch between the original and the HD.
Was that the original game though?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
So our argument becomes deserved,
Argument.
and it got it. So
Vindication.
we win.
I need some whiskey.
It happened. There's no Metroid 2 remake, so it doesn't
Hey,
deserve it.
man. R-Type's been done, man. Give it
Well,
a
hold on.
rest.
That was a downloadable. I mean, that wasn't quite the a modern remake. I mean, think of a modern remake, like you were saying, how games now like the Pink Bullets or the Bullet Hell, how it has thousands of bullets on the screen. Like the way that they're redoing Final Fantasy VII, where they're completely remaking the engine from ground up. That's what we're talking about. I mean, like R-Type, that hasn't happened with R-Type.
Yeah.
That hasn't
A
happened.
modern
with any
twist on it, yeah.
I don't
And
think
the reason
people
why
have the freaking
R-Type's
patience
so
to play a
important-
game like that. It's like a strategy shooter because it's such slow pace. I mean, that was what R-Type was, and I just don't think the public is ready for another game like that.
The public is always ready for more shmups. More bullets flying.
Well,
in the face.
I agree that shmups need to come back. However, I don't agree that it's the proper time for shmups.
Oh, now is a better time than any for shmups. We've got development tools that are easier than ever. We've got like more people playing more indie games than ever before.
Yeah, they're being ported to
Fantastic.
Steam. All the cave game, or most of the cave games, are going to come to Steam. Crimson
Yeah, man.
Clover is doing extremely well. There's a bunch of shmups coming up on Steam that are
About
doing.
Darius, man, my boy Darius.
Darius is. I have this whole computer for freaking Darius
That's what I'm
Burst.
saying, dude.
You get one
Darius.
too.
So
Um,
I actually think that shmups probably won't actually ever get a reboot on like a console or something like that, without being like the Asteroid variant or something, because they live primarily in the web world. Like a lot of Flash games and stuff kind of redo shmups in their most simplistic form, which you need 4 buttons, 6 buttons. Sorry.
I've
don't
never
know.
played a web shmup, and I play a lot of shmups.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The Xbox 360 was a shooter machine.
It was. But there's none on the PS4, the Xbox One.
But the 360 had tons
There
of them.
probably is.
Raiden's coming soon.
I didn't.
Right.
Raiden.
All right. I've heard enough. We got to keep this going.
Right, man.
After hours.
Josh, I didn't get it to say in R-Type art brought that entire art style to shmups. Seeing that art style renovated would be amazing. I just wanted to get that one point in there.
Yeah, man.
Wait,
I wanna
that
see the
the
Uber
art
Crocs.
style?
Art like the H.R. Geiger, yeah. It showed so many people that style of
I
like
think
level
Radius 3
design.
did that better than R-Type did.
They're totally different styles.
Yeah, I'm talking about like
had that
organic
biological thing going on, yeah.
organic matter as your main boss versus like
like Darius.
machines.
Did
Fish.
you never fight Bacterian in Gradius?
Oh, but
I
you
don't know how much more.
Serious. Okay, so anyway.
Pop bubbles.
All right.
Bubbles
So
and boy heads.
in the competition between Metroid 2 and R-Type in a modern remake, this round is a tie.
What?
Oh.
Because you hate
sorry.
Metroid. Because you hate Metroid.
I don't hate
There it
Metroid.
is. Personal bias is in the way.
All right. Number 4. Fourth question. Here we go. And we're going to start with the strong O's.
The other guys.
If it's possible.
Strong
what would
O's
be-
again?
Yep, the strong O's. The power O's. The
Show them your O face.
the O faces. If it's possible, what would be the perfect way for Nintendo to overtake the game industry again?
It'd be a Metroid Maker game. End of discussion.
Well, first off,
Yeah.
you could always just say it's not possible, too. So.
There's the devil's advocate.
I don't know. I think Nintendo has tried to do this by merging genres together, like Zelda and Dynasty Warriors. I think they've tried to get a new audience that's the button mashers from Dynasty Warriors.
You think Nintendo's plan was to
Zelda.
overtake the game industry with that game?
I think Nintendo's plan was to broaden their first-party games and licenses to a new group of people, to market it to a new group that may have never been introduced to Zelda before.
I think it
However,
was just to get more third-party
don't-
developers.
well, that could be.
That didn't
but-
work.
Yeah, I don't know if Nintendo is this strictly console.
Video
They
game
should-
industry.
They should bring the arcade division back,
That'd be awesome. Punch-Out 3, boom.
dude.
Don't they already pretty much overtaken the handheld world, Nintendo?
Well, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know
I
about
guess Vita's
iOS.
doing pretty well.
They mostly do. The 3DS is pretty much unopposed in the handheld market for sure. So, I mean, I'm talking the video game industry, like consoles,
Putting them back
handhelds.
on top.
So,
I mean,
so
think-
you want them to be on top with everything, not just holding the market cornering the
Yeah.
market in handhelds.
Think of like 85 to 90 or 2006 to 2010. Like,
I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I don't know if they could get that big again, even
Yeah, I
with no
don't thi-
competition.
Yeah, I don't think that they could.
well, the Wii was the #1 seller for 4 years.
That's because there were a lot of kids who begged their parents for
Well,
them.
Well, the
And
motion
they were-
controller.
Did you-
Did you guys not all have one?
I don't have a Wii U.
I don't have a Wii U either.
I have a Wii. Yeah, I
You
have
don't
the original.
Smash, bro?
Yeah, man. Totally
Yeah,
Smash, bro.
Nintendo got the grandmas playing on Wii. That's
Yeah, Wii bowling.
Well, do you guys have an answer yet? I have my response for that one.
I guess
I
we're gonna
think
go with
that-
no.
I think they're too far behind to reach 95% domination in the market or industry, which is overtaking it.
Okay.
I don't think they can.
So it's a no. Okay.
All right. My answer is wait, let me get the window back. My answer is what they're actually going to do, which is release content off their console. So they're going to start doing mobile platforming, and I think that's going to reintroduce a lot of their intellectual property to kids that wouldn't necessarily be introduced to it. Mobile phones and smartphones is a big gaming market, and I think with them, I think do they have a game yet, or they're going to have a game?
Pokemon Go, I believe.
Pokemon Go is going to change the world.
Probably.
I showed my girlfriend that video, and she freaked the freak out. She's somebody with a smartphone that doesn't even have really post on Facebook. She's going to be all about that shit. She's going to have a freaking smartphone with like an IR reader, and she's going to be trading virtual Pokemon and everywhere.
Yep.
I think it's also worth pointing out that I'm pretty sure everybody knows that one person who does not play Nintendo games and has not played Nintendo games for a very long time, but has openly admitted that they totally would if they didn't make Nintendo games only on their own systems.
So Nintendo becomes the third party to save their own asses.
Like Sega did.
To annihilate
Yeah,
everyone
they'd
else's
They'd have been
asses.
gone if they didn't jump out of the console more and get Sega.
I would absolutely. I love that idea of Nintendo becoming a third-party developer. They have so many first-party franchises that are just being smothered right now. They're not doing anything with them, and the only way for them to actually come back is if they develop quality remakes or quality sequels to those first-party licenses. They're not going to do it, so they're not going to get ahead at all.
I don't think that's necessarily true. They're not going to do it. They're starting to tend in that direction.
Starting to, but I'm pretty sure
Maybe
it's
not.
too late.
Maybe not in like veering off in that direction radically, but it does seem like that is a possibility.
I don't know, man. I think that it's a desperation move, man. They see where the market's going, and they've got to jump on this, because remember, they were first-party Nazis forever, man. They were blocking out people from, you got to buy security chips and lock out all kinds of seal of approval.
Market's strange.
All this, exactly. Like, they're not the big game in town, so they've got to. Hey, we need to make money. We need to try to jump on this stream over here of alternative consoles.
Trying to adapt your business model to fit a new market is not a move of desperation. It's a move of good business management.
But is it enough to put them on top? Is the question.
Anything that they would move to do, other consoles or other developers have done better. There would be no reason to switch to Nintendo unless they did it on a first-party basis, but that would not drown out any of the other market share at all. They would not overtake with that.
I mean, because like the first party, they make the best games for their system. They set the bar high. But like the third party stuff, like even if they make their best game, is it going to be like that kind of tier quality? Because the consumption on mobile is vastly different from consoles and your traditional handhelds. You got a lot of people that play Candy Crush, freaking click games and all this stuff, and something quick, like a Mario tap game, Tap a Goomba or something, like will they make quality games, or will they just?
I see no reason to think that Nintendo would stop making quality games, even if they started making mobile games.
That's true.
Just because that's unprecedented. They've always made, like, even when they've had the worst possible hardware to work with, their quality control for their games is basically.
But it's always been their consoles.
Well, yeah, but why would that change just because they're on a different platform?
All right, Patrick, can you say one more thing about this?
Pokemon.
Come on.
Hey, man, have you seen that Pokken tournament?
Man's got a point.
Pokemon fighting game. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's just Tekken.
Pokken tournament.
It's gonna be huge, man. You guys just wait. We can go back and
Oh
watch
no,
this.
I agree. Pokemon is going to be huge, but Nintendo will not retake the lion's share of the video game market because of it.
Yeah, I think.
Well, okay.
If that was the case, they would have it now because there are so many Pokemon games out now that it's not even.
For Nintendo, you have to have a Nintendo system to play it. In this, you can just buy it on your phone.
I have an emulator on my phone.
All right. Okay. I've listened to enough.
Shut up.
What would be the perfect way for Nintendo to overtake the game industry again? The phone market and introducing new content on new consoles is my answer. That goes to pins and chips. I think that a lot of what you were saying, Bo and Ope especially, talking about how there's no way Nintendo can come back and overtake the market again, or at least to overtake the video game industry again, sounded a lot like what people were saying when the GameCube flopped, and the Wii came out and just destroyed everything for about 4 years. So
for 4 years, and then what happened after that 4 years? Nintendo just slid right back down on the same slope.
The GameCube was around when consoles dominated the market, even though it was a flop. But you didn't have mobile platforms, and a whole slew of gamers over there.
Whoa. Okay. So right now we got the Strong O's with 2 points. The Pins and Chips have 1 point, and
we have 3 points, right? There was a tie. That's right.
There was one tie. So this right here will be the final one. If we end up with a tie, we'll have the lightning round. We have the lightning round, and I have a few other questions to go through. That'll be real quick time events almost, where we'll judge you guys on the correct and wrong answers. So that's if there's a tie, but there might not be. Next question. This one goes to Pins and Chips first. What are the best arcade ports for video games to consoles?
I already know their answer.
The best?
Are we going to make the same mistake twice?
Hey man, you guys go first.
What do you like? This can be like taken so many different ways. The best arcade ports. I mean, if you want an arcade port, do we mean an exact port? Like all the Saturn ports are arcade perfect,
True.
or are you talking about when you have to redo it for the console? Like you have to port the game and make
Like a Super Nintendo port.
I think you could argue either way. Like you could say Turtles 2, the arcade game, was a very fun game, but it was not very exact. But you could still argue that it was a fun game, and then you could also say something like, Elevator Action Returns on the Saturn was beautiful and perfect.
It is beautiful and perfect. It's an amazing game.
So, I don't care how you do it. You can argue either way.
Rich, what you got?
Best arcade port, huh? I think I wouldn't say anything from the 80s. Much as I like some of those arcade ports for like the 2600 and all that stuff, they're obviously surpassed by, newer remakes or whatever. So here's an interesting one. Best arcade port. I don't know if this would count. Donkey Kong 95 for the Game Boy.
That's a good game.
So Donkey Kong 95 kind of tricks you because it makes you think that you're playing a straight port of Donkey Kong with 4 levels, whatever. And then once you beat the first level, all of a sudden this map opens up and you just have all of these levels and all of these moves, and it turns Donkey Kong into a console version of the same game. So it takes what the arcade version did and adapts it more towards like console taste. What do you think?
That's a pretty good port, but it's not. It's a new game more than it is a port.
That's true.
I hadn't played it.
I haven't played it either.
It sounds pretty cool though.
It's a very good game. You should check it. It's actually Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that.
It's the exact same as that.
Okay, I've played that.
Yeah. Well, shoot. If not that,
Battle Garega is a perfect port for the Saturn.
Battle Garega.
But I if we're thinking like popular or if we're thinking influential, we can go back to our Street Fighter answer because I mean that was.
I would probably go with Street Fighter just on the basis that it was very close and it was, to my knowledge, one of the very first that was that close.
Yeah. Do we answer the worst arcade port now, or are we going to do that the second round?
Pac-Man for the 2600?
I was thinking Pac-Man for the 2600 too.
Okay, yeah, sure. Answer those both. Yes, the best and what you would consider the worst. Yeah, I forgot to add that part. But which Street Fighter 2 port are you talking about? The Super NES, the Genesis, the PC Engine, the 3DO?
I'm going to go on a limb and say all of them. What do you think, Patrick?
If we can choose all of them, yeah, I'd rather choose that one than...
Honestly,
one release.
All of them.
One release?
Just one.
The Game Boy.
The PC Engine version was the only one that really was arcade perfect. I mean, not arcade perfect, but the closest of the ports. It supported... The 3DO one was the Super Street Fighter.
Super Street Fighter.
Oh.
Which is the reason why I sold my entire... I talked about this last time. The reason why I sold my entire Genesis collection was to get that port.
Yep.
And also for Samurai Showdown.
Samurai Load Down.
It did take a little while to load. I would go with Street Fighter for the Super Nintendo. The very first one that came out.
Yeah. I could go with that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Bad game. Bad arcade port was the Pac-Man. It was a completely different game. It looked like crap. It played like crap. And you were
Post-build Atari.
You're thinking like, what is this? This is like I was sold a game that's not the game I thought it was going to be.
Yep. Okay. Good answers. How about you, Strong O's? Best arcade port and worst arcade port.
Oh no, man. I'm thinking. I'd say worst arcade. I got a worst arcade. I don't have a best one.
I think Street Fighter for the Genesis is a pretty good port because the button layout was almost exactly the same, so that muscle memory could stay there, and you could transfer pretty well with it. I think for worst arcade port, Ninja Turtles 2 was a pretty bad port to the NES. It didn't have the same bosses, didn't have the same mechanics, it didn't have a lot of the stuff that was the same. I also think Sega Genesis port of Mortal Kombat was pretty much a failure because some of the buttons, some of the attack buttons and stuff were mapped to start and select.
You don't want to do the Game Gear Mortal Kombat?
Dude, the Game Gear one rules.
Having that controller and you have your buttons all on this side here for attack and whatnot, and then having to switch to the middle of the controller, like start and select, to do strong kicks or strong punches or whatever you had it mapped to, just made it almost unplayable.
Well, the Genesis only had one start button, and that was only if you played with the three. Yeah, it was only if you played with the 3-button controller. So technically, you had the same exact problem if you were playing with a stock controller with Street Fighter 2 as well.
Yeah, you get to flip the kicks with the start, man.
Street Fighter was fine. You put the low and punch on the top two, and then you map the mediums to the shoulders.
So you have to completely remap your controller in order for this port.
If you were a boss, you had a freaking arcade stick like I did, shipped from Japan.
Like a ball.
The Genesis, when Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition came out for the Genesis, they came out with 6-button controllers too. So you could get those. Those worked with both Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. So you had to buy additional accessories to make a subpar bad port playable.
I actually thought Mortal Kombat on the Genesis was better than the Super NES version.
Well, that's fine, but it wasn't better than the arcade.
No. Neither of them were
Which
really
is the argument. There we go.
So Mortal Kombat would be your worst?
Oh, well, you want to hear what the other guy has to say, right?
I don't know. Worst port, I'd say Image Fight on freaking 68,000 because
because everybody's
68
on the 68,000. Okay.
It's a pretty bad port, man. It's bad on the. Yeah, I guess you guys never played that one, so.
I don't think I've even played an emulator of a X68K.
It's pretty bad. If you played Image Fight, even the PC Engine is a little more forgiving, but.
What about the NES version?
Take your word for it.
Yeah, the NES version. I mean, it tried. I wouldn't. It's not good, but I mean, it's just the fact that they even bothered with it is just more impressive.
Well, is it an official port or?
And I think IRAM they had a team that ported it to the Nintendo.
No, I'm talking about the 6800.
Oh, is it a port? Well,
is it like a Dojin port or is it like
it's a retail game.
Okay.
But the problem is that it's a vertical game, so like there's no tape mode, so the screen orientation is horizontal, and you actually when you move towards the side of the screen or up and down, you actually move the playfield with it. So the playfield's as big.
Pain and scan?
Exactly. So like stuff shoots you off screen. Best port. Arcade. I don't know, man. How about Truxton for the Sega Genesis? I like Truxton. That's the only one I can think of, man. Sorry.
Truxton's pretty fucking good.
I didn't know we had Mark from Classic Game Room in here.
I was waiting for someone to say that.
I can go get my copy of Truxton if you want to see a real card.
I got the PC Engine version.
I got it too.
But yeah, I don't know, I thought that was pretty good that they brought it.
All right.
As best
so,
they could.
what for the two of you guys? What is your pick for best arcade port?
Well, he actually kind of had a. What was your best?
Kind of
had a worst.
Or Sega.
Was it Champion Edition?
Are we really gonna fight Street Fighter Genesis versus Street Fighter
Super Nintendo?
I think the Super Nintendo had a very shitty controller to handle Street Fighter.
There was an official
Genesis
Capcom
had a more comfortable layout for it.
Capcom stick for the Super Nintendo.
There was, but you're talking about buying a completely different accessory to make the port playable.
You got to do that with Genesis anyway.
It was completely playable. I kicked everybody's ass with the Super Nintendo controller.
That's fine.
There's no online
at least the stock Super Nintendo controller has enough buttons.
All right.
Mortal Kombat it
has a full terrible echo effect.
Special championship is going up against Street Fighter 2.
Oh my god. I don't even care about Street Fighter nearly enough to this debate.
All right, worst game worst arcade port?
Pac-Man.
Well, yeah, that was yours, but what about these guys?
I don't know. We can go with I think you said Turtles 2.
I didn't like Turtles. Turtles 2 just felt like not the same game.
Oh, you know what? I got one. I got a new one for best port. Can I change my answer?
Sure.
I got a new. I'm gonna say this. Double Dragon 2 on the Nintendo. Fucking better than the arcade.
It's way better than the arcade.
Was that a port though? It was more of a new game, wasn't it?
Double Dragon 2?
Yeah.
It's a
It was a
port of
port.
the arcade. It takes a lot of the areas of the arcade, but it plays way differently.
Yeah.
Go with that.
So does Donkey Kong 95.
So it's a port that's an improvement?
But it has all the same levels. It has all the same gameplay and all the storyline. It doesn't add levels. It doesn't do anything
Yeah,
like that.
it's not a different game like.
It's a major improvement
Right.
though. This is going to be your worst one?
No, it's gonna be my best one. For best one.
I think that makes sense.
And instead of Street Fighter.
Double Dragon 2 is amazing on the NES.
I'm down for that.
For that one. And I guess we'll
Okay.
go with. You want to go with worst Mortal Kombat?
I don't know. I think having to remap your controller to make it playable is kind of shitty.
So that.
Mortal Kombat on the Genesis?
Genesis. We'll do that. If you take Double Dragon, I'll take that one.
All right. So, the best arcade ports, you got Street Fighter 2 on the Super NES and Double Dragon 2 on the NES. Why would one be better than the other?
Oh man,
Street Fighter 2? I mean, like I said, it was the first real arcade port to achieve that level of quality. Arcade games, they were known for being okay on consoles before that, but Street Fighter 2 was the first time you really had that kind of, wow, this is basically the arcade game, isn't it? Like right in your living room.
Yeah, it wasn't crippled at all. The soundtrack was good.
Yeah.
All the moves were there. All the actual players in the game were there. Like a lot of times when you got arcade ports before this, you would get like Final Fight. You only got like one of the guys, versus all three when it got ported because of memory constraints.
Yeah, Guy, man, you didn't get Guy.
Yeah, you had to get the Sega CD version to get them, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, Sega CD had all three.
And it had censorship as well. Yeah, but the first Street Fighter being the first to market and introducing, that was the first game, you could do, head-to-head fighting at home. And it was amazing. I probably saved a lot of money buying that game and playing it, against people.
And it influenced the freaking, fighting game market or whatever. It got a lot of people into those fighting games and got them playing them consistently and practicing. And we wouldn't have the tournament... what is it? The kind of competitive fighting game
Evo
that we have now, without
BronyCon.
things like the home port of Street Fighter 2.
We wouldn't have Eternal Champions.
That's right. Or Time Killers.
Time
Or
Killers
Mortal
might have been.
Kombat on the Genesis.
Time Killers might have been before it.
It's still terrible.
Fucking amazing.
How about Fighter's History?
Fighter's History is great.
That's not a bad game. That's a fun one. Okay, let's hear it for Double Dragon 2.
I don't know, man.
It's all you.
I don't know. To me, the music is better on the NES version than the arcade, and
Yep.
it plays smoother. And they had to redo it. There's no way they could have ported the arcade version to the NES. It would have been impossible. So. But I just appreciate what they did to it. I mean, it was, they kept the storyline aspect. They got, you got the two players,
When I buy a home port of a arcade game, I don't buy it to listen to it.
Hey, man.
Actually, I do. I totally do. But
It's there, man. It's there. The total package is there.
I can't say anything bad about Double Dragon 2. Double Dragon 1, if you guys would have chose that, it would have been the not being able to play two-player versus one. But Double Dragon 2 is pretty dang good. You can play two-player.
It's flickery, but it's
It's got a slow down, yeah.
I think I think they did good with it. I think it's probably
Okay. And how do you compare your guys' worst ever? We got Pac-Man.
That's all you, buddy.
Pac-Man's freaking horrible.
Pac-Man is one of the games responsible for the video game crash that almost murdered everything.
E.T.
Because it was packed with every system and everyone had it, and it set the bar for really terrible ports. Yeah, it's just bad. I mean, it's just bad, not only in the sense that it's not a fun game, it's a terrible port of Pac-Man, but also in the sense that it was influential in a negative way. So,
What was a good 2600 port?
It was so bad that they there's a homebrew that's better that's an arcade port that's actually really, really close to Arcade Perfect.
Yep. All right, okay. I got.
What was their bad game?
Mortal Kombat on the Genesis.
Mortal Kombat on Genesis was amazing, man.
It had blood.
It had blood.
It had blood. It had blast processing.
It played just fine.
If you had special controllers or you remapped your controller, it's not a
Who cares about remapping a controller? Of course you're gonna have to remap a controller.
People deal with that stuff all the time.
Yeah, they do nowadays.
If you're into fighting games, you're gonna get
any game that I purchase that I have to completely remap my controller for, or map my controller specifically for, is not a good port. Well, in my opinion,
you did not
if I have to change my hardware setup in order to play a game, that specific game. Don't want to do it.
On the Genesis, you didn't have to remap at all. It was just
almost impossible to do well.
But there was no remapping. It was punch, 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 and you had to hold down select for kick, 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 right?
No, we're talking about Mortal Kombat. We're talking about Mortal Kombat.
Feasible.
I'm not going to say it's good, but it didn't almost kill Sega. People were raving over that game back in the day. They loved Mortal Kombat on Genesis. That was one of their go-to.
It's the principle of the matter. It's the principle of it.
To the point where
their go-to arguments against Nintendo was Mortal Kombat on the Genesis. We've got blood.
You had to use a freaking Game Genie code to change the green stuff into blood on the Super Nintendo.
That didn't take away from the game. It didn't make it unplayable. No, did it?
Yeah, but it took.
No, but it was an example of
having to like finger and claw your controller like this so you could get all the punches and kicks and done. Like that. Come on.
I've never thought of Mortal Kombat as a bad arcade port, especially the Genesis version. But Bo and Bo, you've kind of shown me a little bit more on this, and I don't think it's worse than Pac-Man 2600. Period. It just isn't. Like there's no argument against that. But you made a good argument out of it. It still didn't win, but I was surprised that you made such a good argument out of it. Street Fighter 2.
You're surprised.
Street Fighter 2. Because Street Fighter 2 and Pac-Man are the good one, are the winners. Which actually brings us to a tie. And I know Bo, you have to get going pretty soon.
I do.
Because you guys it is already 10 o'clock our time. But I do have a lightning round that I can go through. But really, it's just I could just ask one question, and whatever team gets it right is the winner. And it's a simple yes or no question. Whoever answers first is the winner. Or whoever answers first has to take one side of the answer, and whoever answers next has to argue against it. Simple?
Oh boy.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, worst arcade port ever was actually Golden Axe on the PC Engine.
Oh, that was pretty bad.
Altered Beast wasn't as bad for the Master System?
Which port of
Golden Axe on the Master System?
Yeah.
I actually haven't played the PC Engine one.
Golden Axe on the PC Engine is the worst thing you could ever do.
It's really bad.
Watch a YouTube video. Okay, anyway, you guys ready? Whoever answers first gets to keep their answer. So anybody that blurts out whatever. Here we go. You ready?
No.
You ready?
Yes.
Can Konami be fixed?
No.
Okay.
Who said no?
Owl and Richard have to come up with.
Yes. I'll say yes.
So you said no. Okay. No, they can't because Konami makes slot games now.
No, they're getting out of that too.
That's all they make. Slot games.
Kojima's left, and he's not going to come back.
I thought you said yes.
No, he said no.
I said yes.
You said yes. How would Konami make a big comeback?
They would bring back Dance Dance Revolution. Boom. Call it We Fit NX. Partner with Nintendo and bring them both back, Konami and Nintendo.
You can't beat your employees anymore, so they can't come back. You can't belittle and beat your employees, and no Kojima.
You think Sony
Yeah, I mean-
wouldn't do that?
They don't have what franchises do they have going for them nowadays that they actually make? I
Talking
mean,
about Konami?
yeah,
You mean which ones have they not shat
Metal
upon
Gear.
yet?
yeah. I mean, they don't.
They got a Castlevania slot machine.
I'm sure it pays really well.
Bo,
Pays
do you
out
have an
on the
argument?
hour.
Do you have an argument for Konami, Bo?
Well, if they're surviving and still a game company, whether they make pachinko machines or mobile games with microtransactions, if they're surviving, they're still a successful company.
Well, they're technically not. They're bleeding.
Laying off a bunch of people
Well,
and downsizing
they're
their
Like
offices.
It's Nintendo in 20 years.
Well, I don't have a
Yeah,
quick
who's
mouth,
in-
so
third party.
I think we
Alright.
actually had this discussion before, and we said Konami was saving themselves, but that was a previous GameHuggers.
I think Metal Gear 5 was a pretty good seller for them, but they've like really fucked over a lot of their employees since then. It's really weird. And they bought up a bunch of IPs that have just been sitting there and rotting. It's kind of strange.
Have you guys
That's it.
read the internal documents that's going on about the conditions, their working conditions?
Is it like Gamergate?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so I heard more of an argument for no, so I'm going to go
the
with
grass
no.
is always greener, man.
The
Brought it back.
Pins and Chips with the ultimate comeback, winning 3 in a row at the end there to come back and win this week's game fight.
Can we give a MVP to Bo though? He can argue anything.
Bo does have a good
I
argument.
can argue
It's
anything.
true.
Jeez,
Who
man.
knows? Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, the worst arcade game. I was really shocked to hear that one, honestly.
I'm just here to like support Gex. And
You gotta
Dora
be
the,
bad.
Dora the Explorer.
And Ouija. Is that Ouija?
Yeah.
Why
And
don't
Oh,
you have Wonder
maybe
Momo?
Ouija.
Where's Wonder Momo?
I can get Wonder Momo up here in a second.
It's your waifu. We need some waifu pillow action.
I wish.
All right, so Pins and
Wish.
Chips are undefeated so far in the game fights. I'm not exactly sure when we're going to do another one of these special episodes next, but this was our 20th game hump, 20 weeks in a row on Wednesday nights. We've been your home for excitement and fun and bad jokes. So thank you guys so much for checking out our... What is
Is that a
that?
Pokemon? That's Pepsi Man.
What the fun?
Pepsi Man. What is this a new Capcom game?
What?
Mega Man, Pepsi Man. Oh,
No, it's gonna be by Konami. It's gonna bring them back.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Check out everybody that is here. We'll put some links down below for fun stuff with Twitch with Bojack Soaeris and how to follow Twitch Owlnonymous and how to check out Cooler Labs Incorporated Enterprises.
Oh. Coolor Research Labs Incorporated. Is that what's
You could-
called?
Yep, on the last time you were on, actually, I did put links up for your Twitter and your Facebook pages. So
I saw that. I appreciate it.
I'll do that again for these as well. So anybody can check out your stuff that wants to.
Music, and I like when people listen to said music.
It's awesome. Yeah, some really, really kick-ass Genesis remixes out there, too. So I was really happy to hear that. It's cool.
Thanks.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, when we talk about 16-bit mascots. See ya.
Bye bye.
Hey.
Bye. Bye now.
Bye, dog.